Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrick. And if you're new here, welcome. We've been expecting you. And if you're not new here, welcome back. You seem to know where the real party is at. Okay, I've been wanting to film this story time forever now, and I don't think that I'm ever gonna get around to it if I don't just sit down and film it. And in true Storytime fashion, we are sitting on the floor, which means that we are eager and ready to tell this story. So by first impressions, you might not see it, but I actually do have a scar on my face. You actually have to look really close to see it just because I am so lucky that it barely shows up. But I actually have a scar in the corner of my lip right here that is about 2 inches, about 1.5 inches long. And today we're gonna tell the story of how I got that scar. Okay, so little backstory so you understand how the story goes. First of all, I'm adopted. I was taken care of my entire life by my godmother, who I now call my mom. So, when you hear me refer to my mom, it's my adopted mother. When I was a kid, there was a reoccurring thing that would always happen, which was we would allow people to live with us as a way to cut bills in half. When I was a kid, we lived in a 3-bedroom house until I was around 12 years old. So we lived in a 3-bedroom house, which means that we always had one room that was available. We would allow people to live with us and to help us with bills. When I was in 2nd grade, my mom decided to let someone that she knew for years and years and years, she decided to let him move in with us. Now, it was not just him, mind you. It was never just one person. They always had somebody else with them, and they would always move into our house together. My mom is famous for helping people out. She's always been the kind of person that's like, oh, you need a place to stay? Stay with us. That's gonna be $300 a month. So my mom was very famous for letting people stay with us. And when I was in 2nd grade, she decided to let the person we're gonna call Bobby, she decided to let Bobby live with us. She had known this man for years, so it wasn't like this random thing. Not only did she let Bobby live with us, she also let his girlfriend and their 3 daughters live with us. So that was 5 people that were moving into our home and were living with us. That's not even the worst part of the story. So, not only did Bobby, his girlfriend, and their 3 kids live with us, but he also asked my mom if he could bring his dog. My mom is an avid dog lover. She loves dogs. Every time I ask her, why do you love dogs so much? She always tells me the same thing. What is dog spelled backwards? God. Dogs are gifts from God. I don't get it either. But we always had a buttload of dogs. We always had a lot of dogs. At one time in my life, we had 13 dogs. That's too many dogs. Why do you need that many? Why? And at the time, we had around 7 Chihuahuas living in the house with us. We had 7 Chihuahuas. Toto, Nervine, Rusty. I can't even remember their names. That's the only ones I remember. So, when he decided to move in, he asked my mom, hey, can I bring my dog with me? Now, the dog was not a Chihuahua. The dog was not small at all. In fact, the dog was a full-grown pit bull. It was a pit bull. Now, the thing about my mom is that she did not mess with big dogs. She loved small dogs. She loved Chihuahuas. She loved Beagles. I mean, the biggest dog that we had at the time was a golden retriever, and even it was miniature. Like, it was a small golden retriever. When Bobby had asked my mom, hey, can I bring my dog? She said yes, of course, because she loves dogs. But she made a deal with him. She was like, yes, you can bring your dog as long as you keep him outside in the shed in the backyard. Now, our backyard was not like a normal backyard. We had acres of land. We had a lot of land, right? So our backyard was huge. And in the very far part of our backyard was a shed that the doors had been taken off of. It was honestly like a building with a roof and no real walls. It didn't really have any walls. It was like a shell of a shed. It was just like 4 posts and a roof. It was weird. My mom told Bobby, she was like, yeah, you can bring your dog. Totally, that's fine. Just keep him in the back because I don't like my small dogs having to be around such a big dog. Now, since we were kids and considering that it was Bobby's dog, we were never really required to care for the dog. We really never interacted with the dog at all. It wasn't like, this is our dog, so we're gonna play with it. We never played with the dog. We never interacted with the dog. The dog was strictly Bobby's dog. Bobby would take up the responsibility of caring for the dog. He would feed the dog. He would make sure the dog was good. I don't have any memory of us ever really entertaining the dog ever. Bobby's oldest daughter, we're gonna call her Bethany. Bobby's oldest daughter and me were really close. We were always really close. We loved to play. We loved to like sing songs. I was obsessed with Hannah Montana at the time, so it was really cute. Bethany and me would always play together. We would play outside, but we never played with the dog. There was one day where Bobby was like, I'm doing something in the house that's really important. Like I'm like cleaning the house or something. Like I don't even really know what he was doing, but it was a day where he decided to ask Bethany. He was like, hey Bethany, can you do me a favor and can you go feed the dog? We're gonna call the dog Rufus. Bobby asked Bethany, hey, can you go feed Rufus for me? I have no real memory of us ever feeding the dog prior to this time. So I'm not even sure if Bethany had ever fed the dog before ever. I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know at the time how the dog interacted with different people. So Bethany, me, and her 2 sisters, we all walked to the backyard. Bethany is carrying this tin that you scoop food out with. Something that you would go fill up with food and then pour it into a dog's bowl. She was carrying that. I was just walking behind her and her 2 sisters were walking behind us also. We get up to the shed. We get up to the shed thing where the dog is at. And I remember Bethany looking at me and asking me, hey, Patrick, do you want to feed the dog? Now, at the time, I thought that she was just being nice to me and offering me a chance to interact with this dog that I had never interacted with before. I thought Bethany was just welcoming me to the family by being like, hey, this is our dog. Do you want to feed it? Do you want to show it that you love it? Do you want to care for the dog? And of course, me, I was in 2nd grade at the time, so I'm eager to do anything. I'm excited about any opportunity that comes my way. I look at Bethany and I'm like, you want to know what? Yeah, girl, I got you. I'm going to feed that dog. I'm going to feed your dog. Little did I know the reason that she offered me to feed the dog was because that she was scared of the dog. She was scared of Rufus. I didn't know this, and she didn't tell me this, but she was scared of the dog. So I take the metal pitcher thing and I walk up to the dog's bowl. Now, I pour the dog's food in his bowl, and the whole time I am doing this, he is standing over his bowl watching me, which at the time I did not know that dogs can become violent if you mess with their food. Didn't know that. Fun fact, I didn't know that. I take the metal pitcher thing and I am pouring his food into his bowl. In the process of me pouring the food into the bowl, I guess I had gotten a little uneasy and I accidentally spilt some of the food on the ground next to his bowl. Of course, I don't know why I didn't realize the food doesn't necessarily need to be in his bowl for him to find it appetizing. But being the kid I was extremely polite. So, after I had spilt a good portion of the food on the ground, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make sure to pick up that food off the ground and put it in his bowl because I don't want this dog to have to eat off the ground. I think I was doing a very nice thing. I think I was being very polite. So I start taking both of my hands and scooping the food from the ground and putting it in his bowl. The whole time I am doing this, he is still watching me. He is basically standing over me at this point. I'm scooping the food and I'm putting it in his bowl. As I go to grab the second scoop of food off the ground and place it into his bowl, Rufus attacks me. I don't remember what happened first. I don't remember if he bit me first. I don't remember if he growled at me first. All I remember is hearing him bark at me, hearing him growl at me, and then I am laying on the ground on my back and I am staring at the ceiling of the shed. And I am kicking and I am screaming and I am fighting to get this dog off of me. So I remember the fight. I can remember it lasted a total of maybe 10 seconds of I am laying on my back, kicking and screaming to get this dog off of me. In the moment, I did not feel any pain. I did not feel pain. As soon as I break away from the dog, I stand up and I look down at my hands and all I see is blood. And I don't know where it's coming from. I go to wipe my mouth and I look at my hand and there is so much more blood. In that moment, now like I said, we had a huge yard, right? So the shed is all the way in the backyard. So there's no way that I could just get to the house by walking. So I start running. I am running to the house, screaming, crying, and staring at my hands, which are now covered in blood. I bolt into the front door and everyone is sitting in the living room. I bolt through the front door, covered in blood. I am screaming and I am crying at the top of my lungs. And I remember everyone in the living room just froze. They froze and just stood there. I remember everyone just looking at me with their mouth open and being like, oh my God. I am standing in the middle of the living room, jumping up and down, screaming, crying, and dripping blood. At this point, I still don't know what has happened to me because I have not looked at myself. And thank God I did not look in a mirror. That's what I'm grateful for in this moment, is that I never looked into a mirror to see how bad it actually was. But within seconds, Bobby grabs a towel. Bobby grabs a towel and presses it onto my face and is holding it onto my face while he is telling someone to call my mom. My mom at the time was working down the street. She was at work. It was during the day. She was at work, so they had to call my mom to come to the house to get me and bring me to the hospital. But the whole time, Bobby is holding a towel on my face. Bethany is standing in front of me because she had ran from the backyard with me when I started freaking out. Bethany was standing in front of me, holding her head like this and being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She had started crying. My mom finally makes it to the house and they load me into the car. I am still holding my face. They load me into the car and we make our way to the emergency room. When we got to the emergency room, I remember having to sit there and wait for like 30 to 45 minutes in the waiting room while I am holding what I don't know is the corner of my mouth. I am holding it in place. And my mom starts talking to a lady in the waiting room, telling her that she was at work and all of a sudden she had to hurry up and come home to find out that my lip had been bitten off. My lip was bitten off by a dog. Right there, all bitten off. And I remember sitting in the waiting room being like, are they ever going to call us into the back? What is going on? They finally call us into the back and I had to receive 4 shots in my face for them to numb me so that they could suture it up. It was 4 stitches on the outside and 2 stitches on the inside. And after they stitched me up, they told me, you cannot get these stitches wet. You have to drink through a straw for a whole week. I was in 2nd grade, so I remember having to go to school and ask my teacher for a straw every time we went to lunch, or else I couldn't drink my milk. And I had to drink with a straw every day for a week. I remember when I got to school the next day, one of my friends came up to me and was like, whoa, what happened to you? And I told him like a badass, I was like, I was attacked by a dog. Is actually very traumatizing. After a week of me having stitches, we went back to the same emergency room so that they could take them out. And I remember taking them out was so quick. They literally were like, boop, 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 boop. All right, go home. Remember how dry my lip felt from the stitches? And I remember one time I was on the playground and I was really hot, right? I was like so hot. I was like, God, it's hot. So I went to the water fountain to try to get something to drink and I got my entire stitches wet. But I remember it was like 4 days of having them at this time. So they were so dry that when I got them wet, it felt so good. I was like, oh my God. But I was also scared because I was like, I was told not to get them wet. Shit. What I will say is 3 different things. Number 1, I am so grateful that they were able to connect my lip back to my face because it could have been so much worse. Whoever the nurse was that stitched up my lip, you deserve a raise because there is barely a scar now. You can barely tell on this side of my face that something is wrong. Thank you to whoever gave me those stitches. Number 3, don't feed a dog that you don't know. Don't mess with a dog that you don't know. But on the inside, right there, that little bump, you can tell. Right there. This whole corner was torn off. And to this day, I am still mortified of pit bulls. To this day, I still can't be around big dogs. I don't like it. They scare me. I'm just afraid that it's gonna attack me. Alrighty guys, so that was the story time about how I was attacked by a dog on my face. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to let me know in the comments if you've ever had a run-in with a crazy dog experience. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. I love you so much. Pieces, deuces, bye.